Okay, cool. So I just started recording. So today we're gonna do a training on Newton. Um, everything Newton. Uh, this is school that just has one serving line so far.
Correct.
And do you have your password?
No.
You don't have your password?
What is her password?
Let's see. Well, actually, I can't really look it up. I'll just use mine for now, since I don't want to disclose other people's passwords. So basically, if you go to advanced,
Let me ask you this.
yeah,
Where would she get a password from?
we have a link that you send us, and then I'll set you up.
Okay.
I'll send the link to you in the email after this.
Gotcha.
But logging into Newton Advanced, for most of the schools, besides the KIPP schools, you should have this, and it should be SQL Server authentication. Once you set it once, you should be good to go. So you don't really have to check that out. I just have that in the video just in case people run into problems and everything like that. You know.
Okay, so this step here, once this step is done, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna start basically the day, or it's gonna start the program. And usually, basically, the basic protocol is you're starting a day, and then you're starting a meal, and then you're ending a meal, and then you just repeat that for lunch, and then you post the day, and that's like, that's your basic POS setup. You'll see it's pretty simple once we get into it, and there's always these alerts. It says to contact your system administrator, but you don't really have to. I go into this program pretty much every day, so I see it. It's just it's a reoccurring issue that happens. Okay, so it looks like you have a day already open. So at the bottom left, this is good. So it says that you already have a day open. So that means that someone probably started an operating day and then closed Newton up without doing anything about it. In this situation, if you go to review transactions, see if there's any batches. If there are batches, then you would post that operating day.
Okay.
But for now, we're just gonna cancel and abandon the day. It's at the top right. And then at the bottom left, it should disappear. So we're gonna start a fresh day for today.
Okay.
You come in before breakfast, and you can start the meal, or start the operating day first. And then say you're doing breakfast, so you're gonna start breakfast. You're gonna hit that specific day. You're gonna hit OK. And then you're gonna hit main machine. And that makes the main machine a POS line. So this if you had a serving line, you would still have to do this first. And then you would go to the serving line and you would press Newton POS. And then it should be already connected to the main one. So you hit OK. And then now you have your POS. And you have all your students. You can look them up by name. You can look them up by number. Let's see. Yeah.
Now, looking up a student by number, would they have to put all 7 of these, 6 of these numbers in there? 7.
Let's see.
Should be 4.
So like say 2305, it's gonna go to the first one that it finds. So like if you hit 8 at this point, then it would change.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then if you just hit random numbers, it looks like it only goes up until the last recognizable number, which is like here, 2305, and then it defaults. And there's certain ways, like if you're only serving the third grade first, you can hit this key help down here, um, or you can hit Control F1, but you can just click down there, and you can go to alternate, and you can go to group search, and then here you can hit you can basically filter out. So you can hit grade, and say you're doing the first grade first. It doesn't look like you have any first graders, so you're gonna repeat the process. Let's do 3.
Go to 4th grade.
Huh, that's interesting. Why does it? There you go. Okay. Is that the first grade that you guys served?
Yeah.
Okay.
4th grade is.
Okay, cool. And then also, say you had pre-K, it would be -1, and if you had kindergarten, it would be 0.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you want to get out,
Pre-K is -1.
yeah, pre-K is -1. And say you don't want to just filter out the third graders or fourth graders anymore, you just hit no filter. And then say you're giving this kid a meal. It looks like it's a free kid, so it won't charge. You'll see that when you press enter, it has the description of what meal you're giving the kid, and then you just hit OK. You don't need to press anything
So
else
within that
here.
description, are we in the breakfast? We're already in the breakfast program.
Yeah, so it's just a naming protocol, because then the POS can handle more things. Like if it was actually different items, then we could support that. But since it's just a reimbursable breakfast meal, that's the only thing you have, and the price is $0. And you just hit OK. There, and you just hit OK because the payment should be 0 anyways. And you'll see that the kid gets highlighted in green. And let's see. So say this one, and then when it says entered payment, like if you press a 1 here, right? Then you have said that this kid gave you $1, right? And then I'll explain that later. So just remember, like this kid gave you $1, and we'll just continue on. So that's one of the most important parts that I think that I just realized by doing this training, because I usually don't know. Like so, say like that kid just gave you $3, or you're saying that he gave you $3.
So every kid that paid, it turns green.
Yeah, or if you give them a meal.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them a meal, they turn green. Now say, say you gave this kid a meal and then you said, hey, you gave him like $8 or something, right? And you're like, wait, that was wrong. You're gonna go to review transaction, and it looks like the top one is the most recent transaction. So you're just gonna click on that, or whichever one you want to select, but you're gonna click on this one, and you're gonna hit OK, and you're gonna either edit, right? You don't really have to put anything. You can just put OK, and then change that to 0, right? Or like say this. So you can even. Nope, you can't. But sorry. But you can see the amount tendered. So amount tendered means that they gave you money. So it's like, say with this one, you're like, well, I actually didn't even give this kid a meal. I just accidentally put it in, right? You just click on it and then you hit void, and you say yes, and you hit OK. And then when you go to review transaction, it'll be gone. That dollar amount is gone. And then say, so you're done with breakfast, you've served all your kids, and you quit the serving line, right? Yeah, you quit serving line. And then, this is where you're not collecting money, so you just hit OK.
Correct.
And then you exit the point of sale. Now, say you were working on the computer, and then the computer shuts off, the internet shuts off, something disconnects it while you're in a meal, and you have to recover that batch, you would basically start the operating day again if it's not already started. Usually it will probably already be started, and you look at the bottom left to check it. You would start a meal, you would go all the way in, and as you're exiting right here, you would hit send archive to batches. And then it already has that batch. So we're just going to send it anyways, just so I can show you what it will do. Right? So just send the archived batch, and then exit the point of sale. Right? And then you're going to stop that meal. Now you can go into review transactions, and it's going to say there's a batch in the offline network folder, which it's trying to retrieve, right? But it's not going to retrieve it because you know, the power didn't cut off. So you still have that batch here. So you're going to hit yes, and it's going to say no batch was retrieved because it's already on file, right? Now say there's another situation is like power goes out, internet goes out on one of the serving lines, but then somehow it sent the information over, but not the full number. Like say you actually serve 24 breakfasts and you know that for sure, and it says 12, you would just remove the breakfast. Like you would just delete this batch.
Gotcha.
And then you would start that meal again and go all the way in, and then exit the point of sale, and then send that archived batch again. So remember, your batches will never be deleted. For the most part, it won't be deleted because it's saved on the computer. And also here, oh, this is retrieved too. No, I'm just checking things out. Okay, so you can go into this review transaction. Like it's the same screen as earlier, where you can kind of edit. You can kind of edit what they did. Like, oh, this kid actually did not give me $3, right? And then you would change that amount tendered to 0. But I'm still going to keep it as a 3 for now. And it'll show you the changes here. And you can always sort here, like by last name, student number, just in case you're looking for a specific specific person or specific transaction. And this tells you that you indeed served a free meal because it's a reimbursable meal. So we're going to just hit OK. We're going to hit close. And then, now you're doing lunch. Same process. You just start a lunch. Make sure it's on the same day. And then you just hit main machine. And then you hit OK. Now you didn't have lunch today, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And breakfast.
When does school start for you?
When is it supposed to start?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We'll talk to Jeff.
Okay.
After Labor.
Cool.
After Labor Day.
Just making sure. Wait, after Labor Day, as in September?
After September, yeah, whatever that day is, 4th or 7th. Yeah,
Okay.
They expect all the kids to be in school at that time. That's usually what happens. Most kids are out still on vacation until after Labor Day.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you see that kids that have a meal, they'll be in green. You can't give a kid an extra meal.
Correct.
I mean, like you can try, but it would charge them. So sometimes, I've seen it happen in other schools where they've given a kid a meal, and then sometimes people just kind of go on autopilot and they just kind of hit OK, and they just kind of go through it, and then they'll serve them an at-cost meal, and then that kid will have a balance. So you just have to be worried about that. Just make sure you're not giving kids 2 meals. It's not allowed anyways. And it's, yeah. And if you need to go check review transaction, it's right there. You quit the serving line and then hit OK. And this is the same screen where if you're trying to send an archive batch from this machine, then you would do it here. So say like you have a serving line, because it looks like you're going to be adding a serving line, which you probably get a laptop within the next month, hopefully, for that. You would go to that serving line computer, and you would start a meal on this main computer first, and then you would go to that serving line, and you would start that serving line, and you would go into the POS, and then exit, and then as you're exiting, it will have the same option, and you would just send archived batch, and and then you would hit whichever date that you're trying to get rid of. And like, so say you accidentally deleted this batch, right? Let's just delete the batch, the lunch batch that you just had. To retrieve it, just start the meal. And then main machine. And then I think you can even hit cancel here. I want to say you can, but let's just first, let's just say to be safe, you go all the way in, and then you close it, send archive batch, you send that one right there, exit, stop meal, close, go into review transactions, and then there are offline batches waiting to be received or retrieved, and one was retrieved and one was skipped. So they batched the breakfast and the lunch together. So it retrieved the lunch one and it skipped the breakfast one because you have that already. And there you go. There's your lunch one. And then we're just going to post the operating day. You can print before reports if you need. I know some food service management companies do that. But basically, if you print out the report, it just shows you information about the day. So like I think your school's 100% CEP, so that's why it says CEP paid, because that's just the
purchase type.
Yeah, because on our back end, it's easier for us to label it as that, so you know that it's CEP.
Correct. All of you.
Yep, and then you just post operating day. So for this demonstration, I'm just gonna post it because I know you're not gonna have meals for August. Let's see. Okay, so say you didn't collect any cash, right? No cash collected.
Correct.
Daily figures. You can look at your daily figures. You don't really need to look at the demographic counts. It's not really going to change, and it doesn't really affect us. Say there's a day where, I know some schools like where they're approved to have CEP tally sheets used for a specific day just because either they're off-site or computer's down, but that's you gotta have it approved. But I'm just gonna show you how to do it. You would literally just go right here, AE breakfast, the top one, and say you served 250, and then for lunch you served like 276, but that has to be backed up by a CEP tally sheet as well. And at the same time, if you do this, it's gonna add on to whatever is in your batch under review transactions.
Yeah.
So then
the tally sheet is the backup sheet.
Yeah, and because
here's what's happening here is that pre-K is eating breakfast, lunch, and snack in their classroom. And they're using a tally sheet. So you need those tally sheets as backup. And input information into this system.
Yeah, and with those, if they're, so like say like that, right? I don't necessarily think that you're approved to bulk entry those numbers, right? Mm-hmm. So you would take those tally sheets, and then you would start the meal, and then you would enter them in after the fact, right?
Correct.
And then say you have them in the system, right? And then you go post, and then you add the CEP tally sheets again into it, right?
Correct.
It's not going to give you 12 and 7 on your recap. It's going to give you 24 and 14 because they're adding this number and then your batch number.
And then the batch.
Yeah, so when you're adding bulk entry, like if you're able to, if you're approved to, then don't do it twice. Don't put it into the batches and then put it into here.
Maybe it's probably something that the administrators here, Jeff and Ms. Member, whoever's, they're probably the ones going to be doing that.
Yeah, so most of the time though, you're just going to take those tally sheets and you're just going to add it back into breakfast. Like you're going to start at breakfast, put the kids in, stop the meal, same thing. And then you're going to hit reviewed. So then you're going to see right here that there's a variance, right? Because it says that you collected
some money.
Yeah, which is that kid that we collected money from, right? And they're gonna let you post this. They're not. I think the fail-safe system is if it's a variance of $20 or more, it'll tell you that you can't post unless you call me. But then at that you shouldn't be posting anyways.
Shouldn't be posting.
And say you hit okay, and you don't see that. Like I know a lot of people don't see that, and I've fallen into that mistake too. So say you posted it, and this is where I know for sure some schools have like balances, and they'll call me and they'll be like, how come there's a balance on this kid, and I haven't figured out how they have a balance until now, which is that specifically. So for now, that's your POS. That's your day, start to finish. Start operating day. You just go through a checklist, and print before and after. You might not need it, but just the rest. Yeah. So it'll show you what you're doing. And then if you need reports and stuff, if you need to run reports, I'm just gonna run through a few that are common for schools. And like managers that are doing it. So this is a recap. You have a date range. You can pick your cafeteria. You can have your options on what you want to run, and then you're just gonna hit OK. So now this is your breakfast. You served 10. There were 12 transactions, I think, but we removed 2 or something. And then there's your lunch, right? And then your bank deposit. It will show you that there's a variance here. Yeah. So now, let me show you this, and then I think that's the main one here. I mean, you can always run these reports if you need it. I really don't think most schools will need it, or most managers won't need it, but feel free to play around if you need to. There's the outstanding charges. So we're going to run it for this school.
So, I mean, really, they shouldn't have any charges, period.
Yeah, exactly. But that's weird, because then there should be a charge since we added them in.
What?
Yeah, right now there should be a charge. But
he shouldn't. If these kids are CP.
Yeah. No. Because
in this system.
Yeah, in this system, you should not ever have outstanding charges. I'm saying that this kid should though, like Mitchell, because he said that you gave him $3.
Right.
So after you posted the day, and if you reopen it and you don't want to make any changes, you can just cancel abandoned day, and it'll still have that day. It's just canceling whatever changes you're trying to make. But let me start one more.
So let me say this to you, because right now we have Believe in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
and we have numbers for them. We have access numbers for them.
Yeah.
We have numbers, but now Korea Pre-K, there's no number for Korea Pre-K.
What do you mean by numbers?
There's the elementary.
So,
you have
like,
a number for Believe at 8350, which is Believe.
oh, so you mean like,
And you have an access number for, you have Pre-K, Korea Elementary as 8345, but
Yeah.
there's nothing there for Pre-K. Being able to access Pre-K in the system.
okay, I know that Believe, or like Perea, Pre-K isn't set up in the system yet. Is that
Right.
going to be a separate location?
Well, it regarding preferred meals, it's a separate contract.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Korea, it probably needs to be set up that way.
Okay, that's fine. And
Because
we can do
we're
that.
getting tally sheets from them. They're gonna have tally sheets. They're in the classroom, so everything is done in the classroom. So they'll have tally sheets.
Okay, cool.
They'll bring those sheets down, and when we, total those sheets out, those numbers that have to be inputted
Okay.
manually.
Okay, awesome. So I was actually wrong about how those kids get charges, because I thought that that's how you get charges, but apparently not. So we're just gonna cancel this day, and I guess when you're looking at the bank deposit, the food service management company sees the variation. So that means that the charges are basically coming from just giving a second meal. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go back in and I'm just gonna remove these batches real fast. Just because we actually didn't serve on this day. So say you just remove the batches and you exit it out of Newton, or you cancel the day. It's actually not gonna do anything. Like, it will just keep it the same. So if you're trying to remove numbers like that, you have to remove the batches and then post the day.
Gotcha.
And that variance is gone.
It's gone, yeah.
And I'm not sure if there's a way to delete days. I know in the past it hasn't, but let me check for you. Yeah, so you can't delete days. Once you post a day, it'll still stay there. But and I think it will show up here too. At least I think it will. Okay, cool. It doesn't. That's good. Yeah, so then do you have any other questions about the POS specifically?
So Pre-K just need a code for them. I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, but Pre-K is definitely going to need their own code.
Yeah. Or besides that, because I'm going to stop the recording and then I can answer specifics, questions to your school.
Well, it looks pretty, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
To start to finish. Once she gets into the system, she's going to, start her operating day.
Yep.
Once she starts the operating day, she's going to go into her breakfast.
Yep.
Say it again?
Put in batches in those days, like breakfast, lunch, and snack. Because that's what they'll go and do the line, go buy the snack, them serving the kids, and we not here.
Snack, if you're serving snack.
Yeah, they're serving snack.
Okay, if you're serving snack, then you would, go here and you would just add snack under free snacks.
Correct.
And then, if you're serving suppers and free suppers, but that's based on per school, depending on if you're approved for it or not.
Going back to that screen, because there's a question that I have in regards to here, other meal enrollment. So this snack, supper, other meal enrollment, lower right.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, over there. What's going on there?
That one you don't have to worry about.
Okay.
the main things you gotta worry about is the manual meal counts.
Correct.
You don't even need to put comments in. The main thing is like, so say you're like, you put in like some snack. And you're like, all right, done. It'll tell you like what you haven't done. So like, the daily figures you must mark, right? So you're gonna hit OK, and that means it's reviewed, right?
Right.
And then you can hit OK, and then there's like no cash receipts entered. So it'll take you back to the screen, and that means that you have to hit that no cash was collected.
No cash taken today.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not taking any cash at all.
Yeah.
So, so if they're not taking any cash, I mean, is there a way to eliminate that step? Because I mean, that's just an extra step.
I know. There's. As far as I know, there's not. But I don't think that they even make it an option. But I can ask. I mean, I'll definitely ask and see if.
I mean,
if I can.
Got to make this thing as foolproof as possible.
Yeah.
There's a step that can be eliminated, especially that one in a CEP program. I mean,
exactly.
Cash.
I'll send out an email to the to MCS and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much that one. Do you have questions about the POS? How to like, filter out kids or anything of that sort?
So we talked about filtering out kids. What are we saying?
Like, how like grade, like only the 4th grade or only the 5th grade.
By grades?
Yeah.
Go back. I mean, I saw how we did it. Let's go back through that.
Okay.
Just because. Because I don't think we really have to filter them out by grade. I mean, I don't think it's necessary to filter them out by grade. The kids come down the way they come down. I mean, we won't know. I mean, what grade they're in. And then here's the other thing too. Is it's only one laptop right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we believe having lunch upstairs on Fridays and breakfast upstairs Monday through Friday with Perea and believe all having lunch Monday through Thursday downstairs and Perea having breakfast downstairs. And I mean, they got stuff all over the place.
And then you're just going to be carrying these laptops around, right?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much about the size of it. I mean, if you're doing breakfast in the morning, you got one laptop in the cafeteria, you got one laptop upstairs Monday through Friday, and then you have a laptop upstairs on Friday for lunch. But then Monday through Thursday for lunch, we'll have both laptops downstairs, which will make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And then the pre-K would be a tally sheet that comes back that those numbers have to be input manually for Perea.
Yeah. And so for Perea, well, I'll answer that after we finish the POS questions, just because that's like more specific to your school. But in the POS, did you have any questions about that before I close out the recording?
Well, ask them. I mean, we all start here.
Yeah, if you have any questions.
Question.
Yeah.
Like on Fridays, because Believe have the lunch upstairs, can I use DP sheet, or does she have to get a roster for them and best them in herself?
Roster and then put them in herself, because like the CEP bulk entry stuff, that's like very rare. Like I usually see it like, I'm gonna say like 1 week for one school per year on average.
So wait a minute. So you know what? So she's got to input these students in manually and then.
Yeah.
As if they came through the line.
Yeah,
so
as if they came through the line.
She's gonna have to have a roster. Jesus Christ, man. That's a lot. That's gonna take up a lot of time. It's gonna be very time consuming.
Yeah, because I mean, this is like audited by the government, so it's like.
Yeah, I understand, but this is very time consuming on our end. There has to be a way with that roster. There has to have a scan or something where this can be scanned in. I mean, this is going to be a whole lot of, you know.
I had to do this for Delta first. Each day I had to go do breakfast, lunch, come back, snack.
I mean, I would just, if I were like, you know, at your school, I would just have one person handling that, whereas like, and then just work as a group or team, and then, you know, just divvy up the task, pretty much.
Do you have on her, is she access one free student, one of the students that's not in there? Do she still hit the same free students and add their name in there? F1?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna say yes. But that's like, if there's a student in there that you're giving a meal and you don't see them in the system, like, you have to tell someone, like, because you know, when we're giving kids meals, like, it's based off of their name, their student issued ID. Like, these are all government approved for free. So if you hit a free student like that, you shouldn't. Like, it should just be a placeholder. Like, you know, you kind of like give us the name, you know, and then you write it down, right? You write down the name, and then you have to tell. You can probably email me, and I'll talk to. Yeah, I'll talk to whoever's handling.
Those names in there.
Yeah.
Those names, I mean, that's, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the reality. Is that if they're continually registering kids, those kids' names aren't going to be in there.
Well,
if a child, and they're not, you know, and a child comes through the line because their parents left them here in school for lunch, then you got to write that name down, and then, you know, we got to email someone.
So,
you know,
yeah, so that's when you would hit that free student and you would actually put their full name in, because then it keeps it in the program. But at the same time, how the program, what is it called? Like, updates. The way that the school updates is it's actually automatically from Power School, and then it goes into our school system or our MCS like data center, and then it updates the system itself. Like it shouldn't.
They're using Power School. So they're using Power School that communicates with the system here or wherever you guys are in your system.
Yeah.
And does it do it overnight? Is it automatic?
It does it overnight, and usually all the schools update their roster overnight. So they're, you know, they send it at like, say, like 11:59 p.m. and then it goes onto our server, and then all those files, they get updated, and then in our data center it runs all those files again, and then it'll, you know, refresh.
And it and so it refreshes and uploads the student.
Exactly. And then, you know, you just yeah. So
now, once that student is uploading to the system, does she have to go back in there the day, you know, and go into the day before and input that?
I'm gonna say yes. Yes, but I mean, is someone really?
Because I mean, they're in there as a free student already.
Yeah. Here, let me stop the recording really fast, because I think I'm done with everything Newton related.